Was there a inflection point that changed your perspective? Jen talks about the first Intifada. Was there anything for you in particular that kind of changed your viewpoint pertaining to this issue?
It's been a slow, progressive change, but I could point to some incidents and some things that just like pushed me over the line and really like challenged me to re-examine and reevaluate, my own beliefs, my own position. So one of those things was when Israel attacked a ship called the Mavi Marmara that was sailing from Istanbul to Gaza. I don't remember exactly the year, but about 10 years ago, it was one of these attempts that I think was actually largely performative to break the siege of Gaza that had been going on for years, even then. And when I say performative, of course they knew that the Israeli military wouldn't let them through. They weren't actually going to arrive, but they were taking medical supplies and school supplies and things like wheelchairs, notebooks, and taking it to Gaza. And they were attacked on the open seas in international waters in the middle of the night. Israel, sent attack helicopters with commandos who boarded the ship and murdered people. And the people they murdered, I'd say, were people kind of like me, nonviolent activists who wanted to do something to help other people. And they were murdered for that. And at that moment, when I heard that, after everything else I've been hearing for decades, at that time, I thought, I can no longer restrain myself or hold back what I know. Up until then, I had really self-censored in order to maintain what I thought was a place in the Jewish community. I would be invited to the meetings of the boards of rabbis and things like that, and if I spoke out and said really what I think and really what I know is true, that would be the end of me. And at that moment, I thought, okay, I got to do this. I can't hold back anymore. So that's one. You asked inflection points. And another one that really flipped me was reading the book, Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, by the Israeli history professor, Ilan Pappé. And just say he was born in Israel, grew up in Israel. His parents were refugees from Hitler. He's not only a historian, but a professor of history. And he wrote a book completely based on contemporaneous sources, the minutes of the meetings of the executive of the Jewish Agency, or David Ben-Gurion's own diaries, or reports from one unit to another of different military groups, of even pre-state Jewish militias like the Haganah. And until I read that book, I believed that Jews never attacked Arabs and never took their land up until, David Ben-Gurion declared the state of Israel on May 14th, 1948. And then these Arab armies attacked on May 15th. And the Jews had to fight back. Oh, and they won. And in the course of winning, they took a lot of land that didn't belong to them. That's what I believed. I would argue with people vociferously. I was so sure I was right. I argued that for years. And then I read that book. I'll just say it again for your listeners, anybody that is wondering about this history, the founding of the state of Israel being built on the ethnic cleansing of 750,000 Palestinians whose children and grandchildren, for example, are in Gaza today. That's why they're there. So they were ethnically cleansed. So the book is called The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, and was written by Ilan Pappé. And just in my journey, for me to read that book meant I could just no longer believe in these myths. So those are two inflection points.
I think one of the most telling images that I've personally seen, and we've seen many, we've seen the carnage, the absolute genocidal behavior, and I've seen it firsthand. The one thing as crazy as it sounds, the one thing I will give the Zionists credit for is they really don't run from their genocidal tendencies. They let it be known how they feel about Palestinians, including ones that say that Palestine doesn't even exist. I mean, know your enemy and know how they really feel and what they really believe. I would rather the wolf than the wolf in sheep's clothing, and we see that a lot.